Hello everyone. So today we are going to talk about theories of crime causation. So meron tayong ilang topic dito na pag-uusapan like biopsychosocial model, moral insanity and criminal responsibility. Andito rin yung premenstrual syndrome and battered child syndrome, and lastly yung battered woman syndrome. Ang una nating i-discuss ay ang biopsychosocial theories of crime causation. So ang biopsychosocial model. Dito, tinatawag din itong integrated theory na kung saan ibig sabihin pinagsama-sama combination ng factor ng biological, psychological, and sociological na kung saan pinaniniwalaan na kapag merong changes na nangyari sa atin, biological man yan, psychological man yan, or sociological man yan, yaan ay makaka-apekto sa ating behavior and may cause or pwedeng maging rason kung para makapag-commit tayo ng krimen. So, pag biological aspect ang apektado, majority or commonly ang affected sa atin ay ang ating genes, ang ating brain. So, it has something to do with our body as a whole. Kapag ka naman psychological, meron niyang kinalaman sa ating pag-iisip, sa ating emotion, sa ating pakiramdam, na kapag tayo ay affected, like for example, galit, malungkot, nasaktan, syempre magkakaroon ng changes sa ating behavior and pwede tayong maging aggressive. Pagka naman sociological ang affected, ibig sabihin, pwedeng yung changes na nangyari sa atin ay nanggaling sa ibang tao or sa mga nakapaligid sa atin. May ginawa sila, may sinabi sila that became the reason kung bakit tayo naging agresibo or kung bakit tayo nagkaroon ng criminal tendency. Next naman nating pag-uusapan ay ang moral insanity and criminal responsibility. So ang unang-unang nag-apply ng pag-aaral ng moral insanity sa batas natin ay si Isaac Ray, na kung saan he insisted that merong mga tao na kung saan affected ang brain, affected ang ating normality, kaya tayo nakakapag-commit ng crime. So meron tayong tinatawag dito na moral insanity, whereas physically, okay, yung appearance niya normal, walang problem. Kapag tinignan mo siya as if pati yung pag-iisip niya normal, but then again, sa pag-iisip niya, hindi siya normal in a sense that he cannot distinguish what is right from what is wrong. He cannot express kung ano ba talaga yung kanyang nararamdaman. So that is morally insane. Bakit kaya nagiging ganun yung situation ng isang tao? Simply because affected siya ng hallucinations, delusions, and most likely meron siyang mental illness na nagkukos kung bakit ganun yung kanyang pag-iisip. So sabi nga ni Henry Maudsley, yung crime na gagawa ng isang tao, and then it can be an indicator whether a person is normal or not kapag halimbawa based sa kanyang naging reaction. Kapag daw ang isang taong inosente, pinagbintangan mo na gumawa ng krimen, and then nag-react siya na hindi siya yung gumawa nun, ibig sabihin, he is normal. Pero pagka halimbawa wala siyang reaction or hindi man lang niya ipinagtanggol yung kanyang sarili, there is a tendency na baka hindi naiintindihan ng tao na to, wala siyang reaction, hindi siya affected, so there is a tendency na siya ay morally insane. He cannot comprehend or he cannot understand what is happening. Pangatlong topic naman na ating i-discuss ay premenstrual syndrome. So sa madaling sabi, dito sa syndrome na to, karaniwan or sinasabi na karamihan ng mga babaeng nakakapag-commit ng krimen, nagawa nila yon during the time na bago sila magkaroon ng dalaw or ng menstruation. Why is that so? Kasi during that time, mas grabe, mas mataas yung level ng kanilang hormones. So, hindi makontrol yung emotions, hindi makontrol yung aggressiveness kasi na-outweigh ng hormones yung kanilang sarili. Pero hindi naman lahat, hindi totality ng population ng mga babaeng offender or ng mga PDL ay nag-commit ng krimen dahil lang sa hormones. Sinasabi natin, majority. So, ibig sabihin, meron pa ring small amount or small percentage na nakapag-commit ng crime based sa other reason. Okay, ang next topic naman na ating di-discuss ay battered child syndrome. So, dito sinasabi na kapag yung severity ng injury ng isang bata ay grabe, and then paulit-ulit niyang na-experience yung injuries na yon, yung mga nararanasan niyang parusa or nararanasan niyang mga sugat, ibig sabihin battered child siya. And dito naniniwala sa battered child syndrome na kung ganun ang situation na paulit-ulit at grabe yung nararanasan ng bata, hindi ito aksidente lang. Hindi ito in-inflict ng isang stranger, kundi kung sino yung nakakasama niya, most likely kung sino pa yung nag-aalaga sa kanya sa pang-araw-araw, sila yung nag-i-inflict ng ganong klaseng pagdurusa doon sa bata. So, ina-identify dito hindi lang kung sino yung gumawa, kung hindi bakit paulit-ulit nangyayari sa bata yon. Last one, battered child woman syndrome. So, dito ang focus naman natin is yung nakaka-experience ng injury, yung partner na babae sa isang relationship. Na kung saan, same thing din with battered child, yung injury na kanyang nakukuha ay paulit-ulit. Dito sa battered woman syndrome, meron tayong 3 stages na tinitignan sa pattern. Bakit pattern? Kasi nga paulit-ulit yung situation, paulit-ulit yung pananakit. So unang stage, dito nagkakaroon ng tension or dito nabibuild up yung discussion or dispute, hindi pagkakaunawaan sa magkasama or sa partner. And then, syempre pag mayroong tension, may tendency na magkasakitan, which is the next stage. So sa palagay nyo, sino yung mas nasasaktan or mas nakakakuha ng injury? Of course, yung babae, no? Kaya nga battered woman syndrome. So yung next stage natin or second stage, yung pagkatamasa ng injury ng babae galing sa kanyang partner. And lastly, meron tayong third stage. After ng sakitan, after na maranasan yun ng babae, meron tayong tinatawag na honeymoon or loving contrition stage na kung saan dito lalambingin ng violenting partner yung babae para patawarin ulit siya, para magkaayos ulit sila. Pero syempre, hindi doon natatapos. Pagka napatawad na, pagka okay na, may tendency na sa mga susunod na araw, linggo, buwan, mangyayari ulit yung situation na yon. Pero pagka hindi na kaya ng babae, doon na nagkakaroon ng instinct na iligtas yung kanyang sarili at magsumbong sa tamang authority. That's the end of our discussion. I hope na meron kayong natutunan dito sa ating short discussion.
Okay, so good day everyone. So I'm here to discuss the postpartum stress syndrome and postpartum psychosis. So, yun muna po tayo sa postpartum stress syndrome. Postpartum stress syndrome is an emotional reaction which falls between baby blues and postpartum depression. So, this causes feeling of anxiety and self-doubt. The woman wants to become a perfect mother and wife, but at the same time, she feels exhausted and overwhelmed. Although some women go on to develop clinical depressions, most women find relief through the loving support of family and friends as they gradually adjust to their new baby routine. So ito pong postpartum stress syndrome ay nararanasan or nararamdaman ng ating kababaihan kapag sila po ay nakapanganak or nakapanganak ng bata. Lalo na po kapag first time baby po nila ito. Okay? So ano ba ibig sabihin ng baby blues? Baby blues po kasi, it is a feelings of sadness that you may have in the first few days after having a baby. So nararamdaman po ang baby blues kapag 1 week nang nakapanganak yung magulang o yung nanay. Okay? Yung nanay. So ang baby blues, it goes away in a few days lang. So pararamdaman mo lang sa unang araw, pangalawang araw, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Matagal na po yung 1 week sa baby blues. Okay? So, how about the postpartum depression? So, mamaya malalaman natin kung ano yung mga postpartum depression na yan. So, sa baby blues, women can experience a low mood and feel mildly depressed at a time when they expect we should feel happy after having a baby. So, ibig sabihin na mas parang nararamdaman kasi ng nanay dito. For example, yung mga nanay natin, parang nadidepress sila. Diba? Kasi kapag nakapanganak ka, nagbabago yung katawan mo, nagiging mataba ka. In short, parang feeling nila ang pangit-pangit na nila. Tapos, yung hindi kasi biro ang mga anak, guys. Lalo na sa mga magulang natin na nanay natin. Okay? So, that is the postpartum stress syndrome. It is an emotional reactions na nararamdaman nung nanay after nilang manganak minsan kahit na malaki na yung bata, nasa 1 year old na, 2 years old na, minsan nagkakaroon pa rin or bumabalik pa rin yung postpartum stress syndrome nila. Okay? So that is a postpartum. Hindi biro ang postpartum syndrome, guys, kasi nakaka-depress siya, nakaka-anxiety siya, nakakabaliw siya. So malalaman natin yung mga mas nakakabaliw na syndrome mamaya kapag after you birth a baby. Okay? So back to So how about the postpartum depression tinatawag natin? Can come without warning. A woman can go through a normal childbirth and recover completely. When suddenly, PPD strikes like a bolt of lightning kasi nga, hindi mo alam kung kailan siya darating. Okay? Bigla-bigla ka na lang magkakaroon ng anxiety. Bigla-bigla ka na lang madidepress without knowing what is the reason behind. Yung pala, parang, ito pala yung mga nararamdaman talaga ng mga magulang or nanay natin. Okay? So, hindi biro ang merong postpartum depressions. Postpartum depression also is a medical condition that many women get after having a baby also. So, like what I said, the baby blues, okay? After 1 week, okay na yan. Babalik na rin siya hanggang ganun. May isip niya, lalo na kapag meron tayong mga pamilya, kaibigan na kumakausap sa atin, ganun. Okay, so, it is a strong feeling of sadness, anxiety, and tiredness that lasts for a long time after giving birth. Okay? These feelings can make it hard for you to take care of yourself and your baby. So, mahirap po ang merong postpartum kasi hindi mo na nga naaalagaan yung sarili mo. Hindi mo pa naaalagaan yung anak mo. So, sana, kapag nagkapamilya tayo, alam po yun ng ating mga asawang lalaki. Kasi hindi biro ang may postpartum depression or postpartum stress syndrome. Okay? So, like what I said kanina dito, it strikes like a bolt of lightning. Maya-maya, okay ka naman. Pero maya-maya, meron na dyan yung, ang moody-moody na niya. Depressed na pala siya, anxiety na pala siya. Ang dami niya na naisip sa utak niya na, bakit pa ako nagkaroon ng anak? Bigla ang pangit tuloy ng katawan ko, marami akong stretch mark, ang pangit-pangit ko na, sobrang itim na ng kilikili ko, ng batok ko. Yan kasi yung mga nababago sa katawan ng babae when it comes na kapag nagkaroon ka ng anak. Okay? So kapag hindi mo inalagaan yung sarili mo ng mabuti, you will feel depressed. Okay? Next one. How about the clinical depression? Clinical depression is defined as prolonged, intense, sad, empty feeling lasting 2 weeks or more. Malalalim ang ito ang pinakamalala. This is the pinakamalala. It is the more severe form of depression. Bakit? It's also known as a major depressions or major depressive disorder. Not only at birth, they are stressful life events, difficult experience such as the death of our loved ones, trauma, divorce, isolations, and lack of or can trigger depressions. Yung alam mo na yung meron ka ng postpartum depressions. And then, upon postpartum depression, bumalik pa lahat sa yung mga life experience mo na sobrang stressful. Okay? That it can last a long time period nang depress ka. That is a clinical depressions na tinatawag natin. Kaya siya naging major depressive disorder. The reason behind is hindi lang because na nakapanganak ka or after 1 week nanganak ka. So, hindi lang yun. So, may connection sa mga life-full, stressful events na nangyari sa buhay mo. Okay? That is a clinical depression. So, go back, we have our postpartum psychosis. Postpartum psychosis is caused by multiple factors is uncommon with only 1 in 1,000 women developing PPP within a few days after childbirth also. It can dramatically affect everyone involved. Some new mothers suffering psychosis may have to be hospitalized, okay? So, pwede silang ma-hospital for a short term or even rarer and unfortunate Few who do not receive the right treatment in time may harm themselves or their child. Okay? So ano pa yung mga signs? Hearing voices or sounds no one else hears. So nagkakaroon na siya ng mga delusions and illusions. Thoughts of hurting oneself, a baby. So pwede niyang saktan yung anak niya. Cannot care for baby or self. Rapid weight loss without trying. So bakit kaya ang payat-payat na niya? So ganun. So it can cause kasi sa weight loss yung depressions and anxiety na nangyayari sa atin. She could not control her thoughts as if someone else were controlling her. So ayan, yung may marami nang bumubulong sa tenga niya na kung ano-ano na nakikinig niya, napapakinggan niya, ganun, or ano na yun na pumapasok sa isip niya. So that's one of the reason kapag meron kang postpartum psychosis. So postpartum psychosis kasi is the severest form of mental illness in that category, characterized by extreme confusion, loss of touch with reality, hindi mo na alam kung ano nangyayari sa mundo, meron kang paranoia, you have a delusion, disorganized thought process, hindi na nagpa-function yung utak mo ng maayos, and hallucinations. Okay? Kapag nasa hallucinations, meron ka nang narinig, may nakikita ka na, may naaamoy ka, may nararamdaman kang mga bagay, pero wala naman doon. That is hallucinations. Okay? Mahirap po pala yung merong mga ganito. Ano? Okay, so let's move on. We are go there to the theories on women offenders. So women offenders. First, we have Adler's theory of masculinity. So sa Adler's theory of masculinity, so the prominent female criminologist Freda Adler argued that women are involved in more crime due to the increasing participation of women in social movements since the 1970s, which changed the role of female and family and the feeling of independence in her word and thought. All these factors promote the masculinization processes of women role and society. So ano ba yung sa masculinity nito? So parang 'di ba, meron na kapag hindi walang kaya ang babae, kapag kaya ng lalaki, kaya din ng babae. So in 1970s daw, so mas nangingibabaw or mas prone yung krimen sa babae kasi parang mas nangingibabaw sila eh. Mas nangingibabaw sila. Kasi minsan, there's a work na mas demand sa mga babae, lalo na kapag in times of office, in times of administrative tasks, ganyan. So, di ba? So, mas gamay nila yung mga ganyang trabaho. So, di ba, pag sa lalaki, it's more on the law enforcer, construction worker, sa lahat ng mga kaya ng mga lalaki na pang mabibigatang trabaho. So, the main premises of this theory is that criminalities of women are mainly dependent on the masculinity behavior of female. The empowered women are involved in more serious violent crime than non-empowered women due to the masculinity. So like what I said, pag masculinity kasi, it created the term masculine protest to describe the behavior of women who reject traditional feminine rules on favor or more masculine ones. Kasi diba kapag ang babae, sabi nila, pangbahay lang yan eh. Pang-babaeng trabaho lang yan. Like for example, a household chores, lalaba, nag-urong, nagluluto. So, di ba, ganyan sa kapanahunan eh. Ang mga babae ang nasa bahay lang dapat. Ang mga lalaki ang nagtatrabaho sa kanilang pamilya. But kay Adler's theory of masculinity, hindi. So, mas prone yung mga empowered women. Empowered women is sila yung mas merong power, okay, sa kanilang pamilya. Okay, so rather than the non-empowered women due to the masculinity. So, and one big reason that women reject rules is because they want to gain power and feel more dominant in a situation. So, kapag ibig sabihin ng dominant, ikaw yung mas gusto mo yung ikaw nangingibabaw. Ikaw yung mas mataas. That is the theory of masculinity on the women. Kaya mas nakakakumit ng crimes ang mga babae dati kasi mas gusto nila ng empowered ng authority, ng power to do something. Kasi feeling nila, mas alam nila yung mga ganitong trabaho kaysa sa mga lalaki. Okay? Opportunity theory was created by Rita J.C. So this theory argued that the involvement of criminal activities is increased when women have different opportunities. Increasing opportunities of women reduce the rates of property crimes. Simon logically argued that when more women get access in labor market as skilled labor and possess highly specialized position in the job sector, they commit more employment-related crime like men. So some women take advantage of these opportunities just as some men do before. Kasi ang mga babae mapagling lang din po yan, hindi lang po mga lalaki. So, like for example, sa mga work ng mga babae sa isang company, ano ba yung mga pwedeng crimes na makomit ng babae sa isang company? Like for example, fraud, estafa, okay? Sa mga panloloko, okay? So, kapag nakakita ng opportunity yung mga babae, they grab it, okay? So, like the men can do sa mga krimen, the women can also do yung mga bagay na yan pagdating sa krimen. Okay? So, kapag kapag may nakakita kang opportunities to do that something or to do that crime, you will grab it. So, like the men also, okay, na kapag nakakita sila ng opportunity to commit crime, they will commit crime as well as the women. Okay? So, hindi lang po laging lalaki. Okay? Marginalization theory, so by Medal Chisnell-Leland and Kathleen Daly. So, marginality. So, ano ba ibig sabihin ng marginality? So, low salary, inadequate job, lower class positions, family victimizations of a woman, penetrates criminality in contemporary societies. So, those women are motivated to commit a rational response to poverty and economic uncertainty that they perceive. They pointed out women's unemployment, inadequate labor charges, and the increase in the numbers in the home, that is the care of the large family, which leads to a reduction in the domestic budget, and or free time can make women crime prone. Okay, so sa marginalization kasi, it also referred to us as a social exclusions that occurs when certain groups of people can deny access to areas of society. So like for example, kaya nga marginality, di ba? So sa mga babae dito, it can deny access to areas of society kapag mababa ang sahod mo, kapag wala ka ng mahanap na trabaho, kapag yung family mo is nasa lower class, or yung family mo is born in the poverty class, ganyan. So, yung women is nakakagawa talaga ng criminality when it comes to society. Mas madali silang mag-commit ng crimes, okay? So, many factors can lead to this denial of access to institutions and opportunity, including historical bias and lack of funding. So, when it comes to marginalization kasi, andyan yung kahirapan, wala nang mapasahod, low salary, hindi sapat yung kinikita mo. So, because of that reasons or causes, ano magiging epekto nun? Okay? So, mas nag-lead yung women when it comes to marginalization theory. Kasi minsan, sila pa yung naghahanap din ng reason para mabuhay yung pamilya nila. So, dito sa marginalization theory, it leads to a reduction in the domestic budget and where free time can make women crime prone. So, ayun po yung reason why the marginalization theory or why women commit crime because of low salary, inadequate job, lower class position, family victimization. So, mas prone po mag-commit ang crime pagdating dito sa mga babae. Okay, so that is the end of our, meron pa pala. So, Kathleen Daly developed a new term in criminology that emphasizes involvement in professional criminality. So, the term pink collar crime appears as a counterpart to the white white-collar crime. So, white-collar crimes, diba? Ito yung mas ah ma mata tawag dito? Yung mas matataas. No pala. So, I think white-collar crime is not I think. This is the white-collar crime. Ito po yung mas matataas na krimen na na-commit ng ibang tao, di ba? That is the white-collar crime. So, sa blue-collar crime, ito po yung sa mga burglary lang, theft, ganyan. So, pag white-collar crime, ito po yung mga krimen na like fraud, ayan, public corruption. So, that is the white-collar crime. So, according to Dali, pink-collar crime is carried out by women whose office job can be characterized as being set on a low to medium level, or more simply speaking, at a position as accountants, managers, officers, kasi nga nakakakomit po sila ng fraud, theft at their job. So, because of the marginalization also. So, mababa yung, like for example, ganito, sa isang company, diba, nagtrabaho ka as a manager, napakaliit ng sahod mo, low salary, so marginalization. So, because of that low salary, hindi mo nagagampanan or hindi mo nabubuhay ng maayos yung pamilya mo, lalo na kapag marami kayo sa isang pamilya. So, anong gagawin mo? You will commit theft. You will commit fraud ng paunti-unti without knowing na yung company mo is, without knowing na yung boss mo, hindi niya alam na ginagawa mo na yun. Okay? So, that is the marginalization. Sorry. So, that's the end of my presentation. So, I hope you understand well, and goodbye.
The theories on women offenders. So we have 7 theory under this category, and the Adler's theory of masculinity, opportunity theory, and marginalization theory was already discussed. And now I'm going to discuss the critical feminist theory, power control theory, Sigmund Freud's theory of tense envy, and the chivalry or paternalism theory. So when we say critical feminist theory, it is also known as Marxist feminism. So kapag sinabi natin feminism, it is defined as the belief that men and women are equal and should have equal rights and opportunities in all spheres of life, personal, social, work, and public. So in feminism theory, ang sinasaad lang dito is lalaki ka man or babae ka man, both are equal. Okay? So, pareho silang equal sa personal ba yan na buhay, in social, in work, and in public. But according to critical feminist theory, the cause of criminality originates with the onset of male supremacy and the efforts of males to control female sexuality. And aside from that, this theory holds that gender inequality stems from the unequal power of men and women and the subsequent exploitation of women by men. So in here, nagkakaroon ng discrimination and now overpower ng mga kalalakihan, yung mga kababaihan. And ang trato nila sa mga babae is just like a commodity, like ladder money or yung parang isang bagay na nabibili or pwedeng ibenta, okay? And then that male exploitation acts as a trigger for female criminal or delinquent behavior. So, dahil sa ganitong mindset or thinking ng mga kalalakihan over the women, nagkaroon ngayon ng lakas ng loob ng mga kababaihan na gumawa ng criminal or delinquent behavior. And of course, dahil na rin sa patuloy na or sa dumaraming pang-aabuso ng mga kalalakihan sa mga kababaihan, natuto nang lumaban yung mga babae. And kaya sila nasabing mga criminal offenders or mga women offenders is maaari naman na ipinaglaban lang nila yung karapatan nila, ipinaglaban lang nila yung sarili nila doon sa mga lalaki na nang-aabuso sa kanila. And now, the power control theory by John L. Hagen. So, Hagen suggests that class influences delinquency and criminality by controlling the quality of family life. And with this theory, Hagen directs his attention to gender and power relations. And he also examines the power relations within families and distinguishes between patriarchal, matriarchal, and egalitarian families. And Hagen derives the power position of the individual family members from their occupation outside the family. So kung let's say si husband is employed or si wife is employed, isa man sa kanila yung nagtatrabaho, he or she has more power, possibilities, and resources than the other na wala namang trabaho. So, syempre, kung sino yung nagtatrabaho sa isang tahanan, mas siya yung may kapangyarihan, siya yung mas sinusunod, siya yung mas may karapatan na magsabi ng kung ano yung mga gagawin inside their house or inside their home. So, in patriarchal families, the male partner has more power. So, mapapansin ninyo sa ating mga Pilipino, traditionally, ang sinusunod ng isang pamilya is the father or yung tinatawag nating padre de familia. And girls are socialized into the inferior role at an early age and are exposed to more intensive control than boys because traditionally yung mga babae noong araw nasa loob lang yan ng bahay, naglilinis ng bahay, nagluluto, gumagawa ng mga gawaing bahay. And yung expectation sa kanila is dapat nandun lang sila, hindi sila lalabas, hindi sila gagaya. Because in patriarchal families, mas binibigyan nila ng freedom yung mga kananakitan kaysa sa mga kababaihan. And in this type of family, of course, yung mga boys or yung mga lalaki, they are the ones who engage in more delinquent behavior than the girls. So in families that are more egalitarian, this form of socialization changes and girls have more freedom. So, kabaligtaran naman to ng patriarchal families. Kasi dito, mas binibigyan ng freedom yung mga kababaihan. And as a result, they also tend to risk behavior and delinquency. So, mas malaki yung possibility na sila yung makagawa ng mga criminal or delinquent behavior. And boys, on the other hand, show less delinquent behavior in egalitarian families because the expectations of their roles shows. For power control theory, it is primarily the family that exercises control early in a person's life. So sabi nga nila, sa loob ng tahanan nagsisimula ang lahat, sa loob ng tahanan hinuhubog yung pag-uugali ng isang bata. And if this control is lacking, a greater freedom in choice of behavior possibilities arises. So, kung kulang ka sa pagdisiplina or mali yung pagdisiplina mo sa mas nakababata sa'yo or sa anak mo, pwedeng maging factor ito in order for that someone to commit a delinquent behavior in the future. Sigmund Freud's theory of penance envy. It is a stage in Sigmund Freud's theory of female psychosexual development in which young girls experience anxiety upon realization that they do not have a penis. So, the penis envy stage begins the transition from the moment na mayroong attachment yung batang babae sa kanyang mother to competition with the mother. So, magkakaroon ng competition for the attention and affection of the father. And also, Sigmund Freud suggested that this moment is a critical for sexual awareness and gender role differentiation in women. And after Girl realizes she lacked a penis, she may be envious of boys or pwedeng magselos siya, magkaroon siya ng insecurities toward the boys, and she may begin to sexually desire her father. And sinisihin niya yung nanay niya for her apparent castration hanggang sa gugustuhin na niya na mamatay na lang yung nanay niya or mawala na lang yung kanyang nanay. Next one is the chivalry or paternalism theory. This theory was introduced by Otto Pollack, and he argues that in a patriarchal society, women are treated more leniently than men because women are believed to be more biologically inferior, and he viewed women as maternal, passive, weak, and dependent on men for protection. And of course, paternalism theory further states that traditional women are treated with extreme leniency due to chivalry resulting from paternalistic attitudes within a patriarchal society. So before or no araw, talagang ang nagtatrabaho lang sa isang pamilya is yung haligi ng tahanan or si tatay, and yung nanay is nasa loob ng bahay, nag-aalaga ng mga anak, naglilinis ng bahay. So that is the tradition. Okay? But now, dahil na rin sa hirap ng buhay, ang hirap naman na yung tatay lang yung nagtatrabaho or yung nanay lang yung nagtatrabaho. Dapat ngayon, pareho nang nagtatrabaho para yung pangangailangan ng pamilya nyo or kung meron kayong mga anak, yung pangangailangan nila is maibigay ninyo. According to Franklin and Fern, the presence of patriarchy in American society is evident when considering wage differences between the genders. Furthermore, the authors argue that women are unrepresented in positions of authority, such as political and economic occupations. This lack of female leadership is likely due to the preconceived notion that females are less effective at leadership than are men. So before, bihira talaga yung makikita mo mga babae na sila yung leader, but in today's generation, just like in criminology department, diba? So before, yung mga nagpupulis is more on, or sabihin na natin na mga kalalakihan lamang. Pero dumating yung time natin, dumating yung time nyo bilang mga estudyante ngayon, nakakapamili na kayo na gusto nyo maging trabaho in the future. So dahil malaya tayo or yung bansa natin is malaya, may karapatan tayo mamili kung ano yung gusto natin maging in the future or kung ano yung gusto natin trabaho in the future. So before, ang tingin sa mga kababaihan is less effective at leadership. Nagkaroon na tayo ngayon ng mga presidenteng babae, magkaroon tayo ng mga director, mga babae na nagmamay-ari ng mga business. So, meron pa rin discrimination, but according nga sa feminism, both men and women are equal in the society. So, that will be the end of our discussion. Thank you for listening.